have a couple people here today joining me. Ashley is here and Shalonda is here from the ACDS team. And we are excited to talk about networking. We're not talking about IT networking and setting up, well, we kind of are. We're not talking about setting up a network and routers and switches and Cisco and Palo Alto and all of those people and companies and things. That would maybe be a conversation for a different day, a different person. We're talking about career networking, how to use your people, your online resources, events in your area, events online to help you land a new job, an IT job, a new IT job, whatever it is that you're really looking for. So here we go. It kind of looks like a lot, but we probably won't take too long to get through all of this. If you haven't been to one of our webinars before, we always just like to explain who ACDS is, what we do, what our mission is. Many of you guys are probably part of our ReSkill Arkansas program. We're going to talk a little bit about that program. If you're not, let us know and we can talk more about that later with you. Then we're going to define networking. What is it? Maybe what isn't it? I saw that come up in a lot of my research as well. What is your best networking game plan? Our executive director gave me some really cool feedback on that one that we're going to share and walk through what he had been told to do in his career. We're going to think about our current network, maybe some people you already have in your back pocket that you haven't thought about reaching out to yet, how to grow your network, different events that we know about that are happening in the next few weeks that can help you do that. And then when you start to have these conversations, what do you need to have them? And then what do you say? And then we'll do a Q&A. I know it feels like a lot, but we're going to knock it out pretty quick. So to get started, let's talk about ACDS. So we are a nonprofit, Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. So our target is keeping tech talent in the state of Arkansas, finding it, growing it, retaining it. We partner with companies all across the state, large companies, small companies, some startups, other startups kind of like us, some other nonprofits, big corporations, to create apprenticeship programs. Apprenticeship programs can be for entry-level IT positions, or they can honestly be for experienced IT positions too. The big goal with apprenticeship is that there's training. And I think every single person who's ever had a job knows that regardless of how much education you have or what you know, you're going to be learning on the job when you start it. We place apprentices in many different career paths. I know a lot of you guys probably know about a lot of these. You've taken a lot of great courses already in some of these areas: cybersecurity, data analyst positions, development positions, help desk type positions, network support, all kinds of stuff. So this ReSkill Arkansas program really is a continuation of all of that. And it came out of everyone's favorite year, 2020. And we realized there were so many more people who had this need. There were more people who unfortunately were unemployed, or were just really reduced hours, or their industries didn't need them to work as much anymore. I was talking to somebody earlier who I never would have thought the insurance industry. They're just not having in-person meetings anymore because people don't want you showing up to their house to evaluate your property. So that business has declined. Things you never even think about. But we're here to help. We're here to teach you, give you some good resources, help coach you on your resume and interviewing, networking, things like that today. So we appreciate you joining our webinar. That's kind of what we're going to walk through. All right, well, I'm Kristen. I think I know many faces. ReSkill has kind of been my baby the last couple of months, so you probably see an email from me. It might have said Kristen Moore. It might have said Kristen Shryock. Yes, that is a picture from my wedding in November. Shameless. I didn't really have another good picture. So I'm on our talent team here. Spent about 7 years in corporate America, 7.5-ish, I guess, with a programmer for a while, and then taught some programming, moved into IT management and HR and recruiting and training and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'll let Ashley introduce herself a little bit too.
Well, and actually, I'd rather plug you. Y'all, Kristen, if you have an opportunity to have her on, an interview or a coaching session, take notes, take lots of notes. Her feedback is a ton of value just because she's been on the HR side, the recruiter side, so she knows those internal processes. in addition to, she can sling code. She knows what all these databases and APIs. So, very lucky to have her on the team. And then, if you're stuck with me in an interview, so sorry. I'll do my best to share what little I know from the telecom space, but thanks everyone for joining.
And we also have Shalonda. Would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Hello, I am so happy to be here today helping out my teammates. I am a part of ACDS team, helping with a part of a talent acquisition, helping with client development. And that's what I do.
Yeah, Shalonda is here today to help answer questions. Feel free to throw them in the chat if you have any, and or unmute yourself if we're not in the middle, and she's gonna help us make sure we get your questions answered. All right, gang, here we go. So what is networking to start with? I did a lot of good research, read a lot of good articles. Ashley sent me a lot of good ones. And I think the big consensus is that networking is not just you begging people for things, right? I kind of highlighted here, it is a mutually beneficial relationship. And that's really what keeps it consistent. And that's what helps it last. And that's what really gets you more benefit from it when you're able to also help someone else benefit. Maybe you're networking to help with your job search. Maybe you're networking to achieve other career goals. Maybe you want to learn more about a field, understand what a particular company does, or what a particular industry does, or what a person in a particular job title does. All of that can be helpful for you as you're career searching or helping you land a new career. So your networking contacts can provide referrals. So they may be able to help you, or they know people who may be able to help you. Or once again, information about companies, career fields, all kinds of stuff. The other cool thing about networking is that sometimes companies don't post everything. So every single career opportunity may not be out there on the interwebs. This is kind of how Ashley and I connected and why I'm here today. I was job seeking last year. Got married, had to move, all that jazz, lots of fun life changes in the middle of the pandemic. And I was applying everywhere, right? Just like a lot of you guys probably are. Throwing my resume out there. I was pumped about this resume I'd come up with. I was so excited, and I heard nothing. I mean, maybe a couple of months later, I would finally get a rejection email. And I knew Ashley from years ago. From a networking event. It was some event downtown. I don't remember. Actually, maybe you do. What it was, I think, was where we met at something in the Venture Center, I think, downtown Little Rock.
The chamber, like speed networking.
Yeah. Yeah, it was some kind of networking event, and we had connected on LinkedIn and kept in touch. And she actually reached out to me about a potential job years ago. But when I was job seeking, I noticed that she was connected on LinkedIn with somebody who worked at a company in Greensboro where I was job seeking. So it was like third degree of separation, whatever kind of thing, right? And so I just reached out to her and told her I was job seeking, asked if she could help me connect with this person, if she could do an introduction for me. And that didn't turn into anything, but she ended up needing somebody to help her and was like, hey, what about me? Are you interested in this opportunity? So here we are. And that's really what got me this job. And as we were kind of thinking about what topics to discuss for our webinar, I said, guys, so many of us got our jobs through networking. Why don't we talk about networking and people? So I say all of that to say, I don't think that recruiter job was posted anywhere. That was a job, Ashley, was it? Okay. Sometimes jobs aren't posted anywhere, and it may be a position that a person knows that they need to fill or to hire, and they'll just tell you about it or tell you about somebody without you actually ever being able to find it out there online either. And the other thing I added on here is that networking is a career-long process. It's not a thing for you to do to get a job and then be done. I really want to emphasize that, because if you really want it to be a successful relationship, kind of like mentoring, asking somebody or helping somebody in their career, it's a relationship. It's something that you want to continue. And then both groups benefit so much more whenever you do. Ashley, anything else to add?
No, you're doing great.
All right. So here's some interesting stats on why this is important. So just talking about LinkedIn, and I hope everybody's heard of LinkedIn. For sure, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, that's your homework today. We'll talk some more about LinkedIn later. But 35% of people said that a casual conversation on LinkedIn messaging turned into an opportunity. If a casual message on a social media site turned into a job, I mean, some people are, using that to find dates and things now. So why not use a casual DM message to land a job? You never know, right? And then I love this stat even more. 80% of job seekers say that their network helped them find work. I'm in that statistic. Many of you may also be in that statistic from a previous position that you've been involved in too. So this is why it's important. This is why we're talking about this today. So what's our game plan? What do? We get it, Kristen. We know what we're doing. We know why we're doing it. Tell me what to go do. So this is some great advice that we got from, like I said, Bill, our executive director at ACDS. And he was told this advice someday. So we're just passing it down some more. But he said, number one is to make a list. Everybody who knows who you are. Think about, I just got married. If you were making your wedding guest list, who might be on that list? Your Christmas card list. If you're like my grandmother and you send out hundreds of Christmas cards, you might have a long list there. We'll go in a minute through who to include on your list, but that's going to be step one. Step two is start to contact these people. You want to rehearse a little bit of a pitch, and we'll talk some more about that later too. But think about what you want to say when you contact them. Tell them why you're reaching out. And then here's the trick. Ask them to introduce you to 3 people that they know, but you don't know yet. It's like that graphic where when you tell one person something, how fast gossip spreads. You tell one person and they tell 3 people and they tell 3 people and they tell 3 people. Well, let's use it for something good. Let's use it for networking. So then now you have 3 new people to add to your list. The list is growing, you're getting popular, you got more friends, right? You're going to work those contacts. So do the same thing. You've got your pitch, you reach out to those people. Make sure you're still keeping in touch with your original list. We want to keep those relationships going. And then once you develop a relationship with your new contacts, ask them for 3 more people and check out how big your list is going to get over time. So if you keep doing that, you keep these relationships going, you keep asking people for more people, then eventually, just statistically, based on the way that the world works, right, you're going to come across somebody who needs somebody else just like you do. And then, like I added in here, to remember to give something to your network too. Don't just ask, don't just take. They may ask you for 3 people and you guys can swap people. Or if you're asking them about a particular company, maybe you can give them insight from a company you worked out before, or a position that you held, or industry that you were in. So you want to remember to give and take. It's not just the take, it's the give too. I loved this. So that's kind of our game plan. We're going to break down now how to make your list, how to contact, some of those things. Everybody with us so far? Chat us some questions if you got them as we're going. All right, so let's make our first list. This might be another good homework assignment. We're not going to check, so don't worry. But we're going to start with family. That's kind of an easy one, right? Your immediate family. Parents, children, brothers, sisters, then go to your extended family, cousins, aunts, and uncles. Then don't forget about different generations. You never know, grandparents, or second cousins removed, however it goes up and down, up and down the chart. Don't forget about people who are younger, who are in college right now, creating contacts. Don't forget about people who are older, who are close to retirement. They know a lot of people. They've been in the industry for a long time. And then your spouse's family too. So maybe kind of your extended immediate family as well. But don't just find people with your last name, but remember you've probably got some more family to grow from there. All right, then let's move to friends.
Well, we have a question in the chat.
Okay.
How often, Kenny wants to know, how often should you contact someone without becoming a bother? 1 month, 2 months?
Good question, Kenny. I'm going to pin that one, and we'll come to that in a little bit when we get to how to contact people and how often to contact people. So I want to help me remember if I forget. All right. So friends, different stages in your life. If you're really good at keeping in touch with people, and shout out to Facebook for making this easier, go back to high school, go back to growing up. People you were in kindergarten with, if you still remember them. All over the place. Different if you went to college, people you were in college with, if you lived somewhere different. I think Carol, we were talking today, and Carol lived in San Diego for a while. So you've got your friends from San Diego, contacts out there. My grandparents were in the Navy, and my grandmother knew people literally all over the world. And somehow she remembered all of it without Facebook. So you don't have to remember it all, but make your list for sure. Your teenage friends, your adult friends, your childhood friends. I don't have as many adult friends, I don't feel like, as childhood friends, but from whatever stage of life, don't forget friends. And then this can be a big list. As I got going, I came up with a whole lot of different community places too. And these may be people you're not really thinking, you may not think by default to reach out to for your network. If you go to church, that's a great network of people. A lot of times people in church are all over in the community, a lot of different areas and industries. If you go to the gym, there was a guy when I worked at my previous position who worked out with somebody at the gym, and he sent me this guy's resume and we ended up hiring him. So you never know, the guy on the treadmill might get you a job. 6 feet away with a mask on. That's the rules, I think, in North Carolina still. All right, volunteering. If you volunteer with any groups, or if you have volunteered with any groups, if not, joining a new group may be a great way to meet some more people as well. I know some of these things are kind of hard right now, given the climate, but I was a Girl Scout troop leader, and there were lots of great moms and families there, so they may know people. I pulled out my grandma's Christmas card list. If you receive Christmas cards or send them, who do you send cards to? Maybe repeats from some of these previous ones, but you never know. Any other position you've had before, past coworkers or clients, people you worked for, worked with, any alumni of your alma mater. I know I keep up with a lot of those people on social media for sure. Past teachers or professors. A lot of times those are often people we will go to for references too. So you may have some of those people on your reference list. Use their network as well. Maybe they can help introduce you to somebody. What about your doctor, your hairdresser? My hairdresser is also my free therapist. Well, I pay her to do my hair, but she's also my therapist. And a lot of people sit in her chair, so she knows a lot of people. You never know. Never know who else your hairdresser may know, and you never know who else your doctor may know. Kind of get talking about, doctor-patient confidentiality is a thing, but they may still know some people who would be interested in meeting you and working with you. So lots of different people, just sitting down and making yourself a list. We definitely recommend having a list somewhere. If you're a pencil and paper person, or you want to keep it in Excel or a Google Doc or whatever, definitely think it's a good idea to kind of have a contact list. I would probably create like maybe a tag in my contacts and do like a network contact, and then I would know that they were somebody I was saving to be able to keep in touch with. But whatever information you have on them, phone, email address, connecting with them on social media, that's probably a lot more people than you may have thought when you start writing it down.
All right, so Kristen told you, kind of how to take advantage of your current network, which is great, kind of, step one. But now we're going to talk about how do we expand and grow that beyond who you know today. So let's kind of dig into, and actually I would say thank you to COVID for giving us more opportunities for virtual networking. Now, it's not always ideal, but there are a ton of groups that, rely on, online websites to post their events that they're kind of coming up with. So first, kind of think about online. So, absolutely utilize your social media and your social networks. I put in the chat that you could cross-reference your Facebook contacts from high school and see what they're doing career-wise. Who knows? They could be working at IBM or First Orion. And so utilize all of the different features online to follow organizations. So following is where you go to the company page on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, and you click a button And that way the algorithms in the back end will start to show their status update and events in your newsfeed. And don't just follow, don't just like. You want to interact with these organizations. And when I say interact, not just a great article, thumbs up, think about something specific. I really enjoyed your article's reference on, 82% of job seekers find their job through networking. Because somebody actually reads that. So there's someone typically either in marketing or HR, or there's some employee that will look at that. And in my previous job, I would have the marketing team send out, oh, this interesting, person has been very interactive and responsive. Now, be very mindful of typos and spell checks. But just, again, another avenue to expand to kind of who you know. And events. So ACDS, so we host a monthly virtual networking event called Tech After 5 out on our events page that I'll add in our chat and kind of follow-up message. Eventbrite is another, so a lot of companies I've noticed or groups will have a meetup event or a meetup group, but then to register, it maps to Eventbrite. So they're similar, but technically two separate websites. I think Eventbrite just has more, technical abilities to have tickets and tracking mechanisms, where meetups are a specific group that is, it could be tech related, it could be nonprofit related. There's even just general networking events. So I had a candidate that great technical skills, was really nervous. It took a couple of interviews before I felt like I really got to know him and his capabilities. And it was because of nerves. So he begrudgingly signed up for an organization called Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is all about, public speaking and strengthening that skill set. So again, think about, and I know Kristen talked about homework and, hate to be the bad teacher, but, I would challenge you, especially as we go to the next slide, to think about one group that you will join that aligns with your career interest. So hopefully that's within IT. And then join one organization that is just within, something that you're passionate about. So it could be a local nonprofit or the food bank or Women and Children's First. Because again, you're expanding the group of individuals who you know.
It also, as I was going through the meetup groups, there's like a photography meetup group of people who get together and you learn how to use your fancy camera or take better pictures on your cell phone. And I mean, there's groups for hobbies, there's running groups. So think about those kinds of groups too, that may give you a nice outlet to escape and a good fun hobby to do, but can still maybe help you find a career as well.
We have a question in the chat.
So, Meetup.com, and no, it's not a dating app. It is all, networking, interest groups. And then Eventbrite, for the most part, there's a ton out there for free. And, even though we, typically you want to recommend drilling down by your location. So state of Arkansas, Little Rock, Northwest Arkansas, expand it out to be able to join some of those groups that offer free training. To basically learn something new. So on LinkedIn Premium, so I'm not the most well-versed. I feel like LinkedIn Premium is just going to allow you more access through your connections. So if you have the free version, you're only going to see up to your third connections. And so that is, if Shalonda is connected to Crystal, or Kristen, and Kristen's only connected to me, I could see her, but if Rosen was connected to Shalonda, I couldn't see him out there in a search. I personally don't think it's worth it. If you're gonna spend money, I would probably recommend spending it on the LinkedIn training. to have access to that versus the premium profile version.
Yeah, it looks like Kenny threw a note in here that the LinkedIn Pro will allow you specifically to see who's viewed your profile. If you notice that number is increasing and you're applying to a lot of jobs and you're seeing that people are looking at your profile and you want to know who they are, that's a good tip from Kenny, that you can see who's looking at your account, and then you can reach out to them or follow up. Hey, I noticed you were, or check me out. Maybe don't say that, but something to start the conversation and reach out to them.
Or maybe if you see you're getting a lot of traffic and a lot of looks, but you're not getting interview requests, check out your profile. What if there's a typo? What if your dates of employment aren't up to date? What if it doesn't have enough in your overview that says, what you've done, your skills, kind of what you're looking for. Oh, great tip from Kenny. Kenny says the LinkedIn training comes with the pro account. So if it's all in one, then, that seems like a win-win. All right, so let's jump into kind of our favorite Meetup.com. Well, and actually I forgot to mention Malachi. Kristen, Malachi was new to me.
Yeah, me too.
It's almost tailored to more of the design creative side of the house. It looks like a lot of Silicon Valley, New York. So again, kind of expanding the who you know. It looks like they have a job board feature and then kind of a different events page. So to me, it looked almost like kind of a new, fresh version of LinkedIn. So just another avenue. Where'd you hear about that from, Kristen?
One of the articles I was looking at. I don't remember. I'd never heard of it. I've linked it on here, guys. So we'll send this out to you after and you'll have all the hyperlinks. But yeah, I'd never heard of that, but thought it may be cool for remote opportunities. If you're looking for something remote, a lot of these companies, like Ashley was saying, they may be Silicon Valley or big city, but those people need to hire more people, right? So maybe you can find a cool remote opportunity. Figured it was worth including. If y'all like it and have any tips, let us know.
And then again, one more plug on organizations, especially because that's how Kristen and I met, your Chamber of Commerce. So absolutely good. Typically you can go to your local Chamber of Commerce and sign up for their email notifications for events. In addition to following them on social media platforms to see what type of virtual networking activities and events they have coming on.
All right.
All right, so Meetup events, and we added the specific Meetup.com for the Little Rock location, but guys, these are 8 upcoming events specifically for the IT focused technology groups within the state of Arkansas. And we tried to do a good job on having a mix of Central Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas. But to me, no matter where you're located, absolutely join. A lot of the employers that we're visiting with are, somewhat flexible on, sometimes they have a Central Arkansas office and a Northwest Arkansas office. So just kind of a few kind of noteworthy ones, networking after work. There's even a back-end development JavaScript coming up on February 11th. So these are right around the corner, and Kristen did a fantastic job in putting the actual hyperlink to each event in your slide deck. So once you receive that, and every single one of these are free. So you got nothing to lose. A couple of tips to really get the most bang out of the event is, be on camera. You want people to remember you. So be on camera, as best as possible, have a, not too crazy of a background, and, interact with people. After the event, you could even send them a LinkedIn connection. Calvin, it's so nice meeting you at the JavaScript meetup. It was very interesting to see how your syntax went into the API feed. I have no idea if that even makes sense, probably not, but You want to make it personal to where they remember you and show that you are paying attention. The same type of, example, if, they had a speaker come in to teach new machine learning techniques. You could even attach a resume. You don't want to send them a novel. You want to thank them for their time, how you met them, say something specific about, a key takeaway for you. I'm also in the job market for, entry-level IT positions within coding and software development. If you run across any opportunities, let me know. Or even volunteer your time. You could say, if you know of any, projects that I could volunteer my time or even job shadow. So a few different types of approaches, but I think the key is going to be, kind of making sure those are personalized to the individual.
I wanted to make sure we highlighted this introduction to cybersecurity. I think this is kind of an event, maybe more of a presentation. And then this one too, I'll be honest, I don't know what ICS is, but IoT is Internet of Things. So this one looked really good, and I think both of these were events. So you learn something for sure, give you some networking, see who else is attending these things as well. And almost all of these things are online, easy enough to jump on, just like we all are right now. All right, guys. Any more questions as we're going? Let's see. I think, Kenny, I'm going to get back to yours, I promise. I think those are all the big ones for now. All right. So now that you're about to start networking, what do you need? We want to prepare, right? A couple of things we're going to recommend. And this one I know is sometimes controversial, but a business card. Here's what I like about it. It's small, it's easy to carry around. If you're at a physical event, or shoot, if you're checking out at Walmart or Target or wherever, I guess I should say Walmart, we're Arkansas based, right? Then you can just grab your business card and hand to somebody. I was at Best Buy one time and handed a guy my business card because he was interested in an IT job. You never know where you may meet people. But the cool thing about a business card is you can put the important things that people need to know. Phone number, email address, your name, what you're looking for. Quick and easy. You don't have to worry about a big old full-size resume piece of paper. All right, but you do need that resume. Very important to have. Don't have to carry those around in your back pocket, but you wanna you wanna have those pretty easy to access. We have a few other webinars on our YouTube channel about resumes, and those would be great if you guys want to check those out. Or if you already have and you would like to meet with us and we can do some coaching. I think I've done that with a couple people on the call. And I know Ashley's done a ton of those. So we would love to sit down and give you some feedback. I know specifically when you're career changing, a resume can be hard, right? You have all this experience from what you've previously done. You got some training. You don't feel like you have all of it or enough. How do you present yourself? How do you present yourself into your new position? Well, Kenny, thank you for that message. You're leading me into your elevator pitch, and don't the elevator pitch. You don't literally have to give it in an elevator, and you would probably be too close to people in an elevator today to even be on the elevator with them. But for those who don't know, the idea of an elevator pitch is that we should have prepared kind of a brief introduction of yourself and what you're looking for to be able to connect with people. That pitch should be no longer than an average ride in an elevator, so that if you were in the elevator with somebody, you could give them your whole pitch on the ride. You don't want it to be too long. You don't want to ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble. I asked somebody in an interview one time, essentially for their elevator pitch, tell me about yourself. And 15 minutes later into a 30-minute interview, they were done. And so was I. So you don't want it to be too long. But important things here are, where you're looking for something. Make sure they know your name. Actually, that's probably the number one. You want them to remember your name. That may be another good thing to come back to when we're finished, but names and remembering names is so important in networking. But who you are, what you've done. Maybe you can come up with a few things that you really love that you've done. Maybe you have a good pitch about, you've spent this many years in the restaurant industry, and COVID really helped you, unfortunately, you realized that position wasn't available anymore. Your position was eliminated, and it really helped you realize that you were home all day and you were in front of your computer and you found this love for technology. I don't know. That needs some refining. But anyway, give yourself some practice in front of the mirror. Make sure you know how you want to sell yourself to people. And then the other thing that I thought about was having some kind of video chat app. If you reach out to people and want to set up maybe a coffee date, a virtual coffee date where you both sit down, this is water, but you've got your water or coffee or whatever, and you can connect online. I really think, I know we get Zoom fatigued. I know that's totally a thing that came out of last year, but seeing faces, like Ashley was saying, helps so much more than just the audio on the phone. So Zoom and Google have free versions. You don't have to pay for anything. The free version should give you everything that you possibly need. But they're definitely the most popular and most accepted today. If you don't have an account, we encourage you to create one. So that's easy. Okay, so now what do you say? Ashley started to cover a little bit of this. We talked about this elevator pitch. You want to be human. You want to be friendly. You don't want to sound like a robot. I am Kristen, and I am looking for. You don't want to sound like you're rehearsed. But tell them your story. When you sound like a person, when you're talking to somebody like a human and just really getting personal, then you'll keep that personal connection. Those are the relationships you want to go back to. Those are the people you want to continue the conversation with. Maybe share some of your education, some of your work experience, maybe something about your family. If you have new twin girls or boys, or you just got married, I share that because a lot of people can relate to it. It kind of opens the door. Whatever crazy thing that's kind of going on in your life or fun thing that you have that you're doing, or hobbies. Hobbies are fun too. I've seen a lot of good elevator pitches or cover letters that kind of start off talking about the Iron Man thing that somebody just did, or this bike trail they went on, or whatever, some cool thing that you love to do that you're passionate about outside of work. And if you don't have those things, you should have those things for sure. If you are career changing, I know we have a lot of people on here career changing. So you definitely want to have two things here. You want to share why. Don't be afraid of this. I know it's weird, and even I earlier stumbled on exactly how to say it. But practice how you want to share that. You were in this industry, and here's why you didn't love it, and now this is what you want to do next. But make sure you can tell them what you are looking for. You don't want them to remember what you did. You want them to remember what you want to do so that they know how they can help you. And then, why are you reaching out to them? Maybe you've reached out to somebody on your LinkedIn page. Maybe you've got your list and you're emailing people on your list. However it is that you want to reach out to these people, tell them why. You're looking to grow your network as you're on the job market for a new entry-level IT position. Or maybe you specifically saw that they work at a company that has a growing IT department, or just growing their company and would love to understand more about what they do. Or hey, Ashley, I see that you have years of HR experience and I'm looking to move into the HR field. Can you help me? Or what advice would you have for somebody who's new in this industry? Whatever it is, make sure they know why you're reaching out. So that's number one. I know that's a lot. Number two is to ask questions. You want to listen. You want to connect with these guys for their advice, for what they have to share with you. So learn more about their career. The way I start off a lot of my fun interviews is tell me your story. Tell me about your career, what you've done, and why you're looking to do something else. So use that one. Tell me about your career. And I bet you it's not the way that they expected it to go. So that may be a fun follow-up question. What changed your path maybe from what you were originally looking to do? Ask them for advice. Sometimes I like to ask if you were starting over your career, what's one thing you would tell yourself? Those kinds of questions to help learn what they've already learned from like the older sibling teaching the younger sibling kind of lesson. If you can do some research on their background and ask targeted questions. This is where LinkedIn is super handy because you can see people's background. You can see their experience and what they've done and where they've worked. Just like we recommend when you interview a company, you want to research them to know what's going on. Do the same thing with the person. Highlight something you admire about them. Hey, Carol, I see that you spent years in medical coding. That is something that I have always thought was so interesting. I love that you worked in, the medical industry and were able to help people. I blah, 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 go from there. So something that you think is really cool, interesting, that helps kind of reel people in, when you share something about them, that'll help them perk up. Think of it kind of something I was reading, called it an informational interview. So asking them about their position, asking about the industry, asking about their employer, and then their advice. So those are kind of 4 good things to ask about or make sure as you're going through your conversation. All right, so then number 3 is this whole idea of growing your network, right? The referrals. Do you have any contacts in this career field? Or any companies that you may be interested in? Do you have any other contacts within the company, within the IT department, within the help support team? Or maybe what I did with Ashley was, hey, Ashley, do you know anybody else in Greensboro? Because I knew I was moving to a specific city or location. Maybe you can just ask if somebody knows somebody in the area and their family may live there. They're like, oh yeah, I'll give you Sally Joe's number. You never know. And then the last thing to do is your thank you. Always, always, always want to follow up with this. Y'all, I really believe thank yous are a dying art. I am an old woman and I craft. I have all my wonderful craft stuff next to me, and I actually make cards and I actually mail them with stamps and the whole shebang. You don't have to mail a card if you don't want to. You can send an email if you want to, but don't forget to do it. And you can keep them updated, follow up on things that you talked about, tell them how things are going. When you keep that conversation going, then you both get more out of it. Maybe you want to set up a future time to meet. Hey, are you available next month? Or what's your calendar look like for August? Would love to set down a time to chat when it's warmer outside, or maybe we can go on a walk or hit the bike trail or whatever it is. So that follow-up is super important and often forgotten. So if you do that, you'll be remembered and people will be more interested and they'll think about you again. It's another time that they think about you when they see that email. Oh yeah, that Calvin guy, he's following up. I remember Calvin. All right, so Shalonda, I know I'm looking at some of these questions. Kenny asked earlier, how often should you contact without being a bother? Well, Kenny, I think some people can be a bother with one contact. So no, I'm just kidding. I think it depends on your relationship, in their schedule. And maybe you ask them, say, hey, I would love to connect again. When would work best for your schedule? I think, I don't know. I think a month.
Kristen, so when you were a recruiter at Dillard's, how many, what I would call a cold call LinkedIn message, from candidates, did you kind of on average, and what was your reply ratio? Did you reply to every single one?
Did I reply to everybody? No. I would usually play catch up. Like I would forget about LinkedIn and then I'd go look at it one day and then I'd catch up on a bunch, and then I would forget again and then I would go look at it again and catch up on a bunch. That was just me. I know a lot of people follow up and check it more regularly.
I think the majority of recruiters I have had the opportunity to work with is they get so many, you can't reply to everyone. So even though we're saying a thank you email or a note is great, don't be upset if there's not a reply. And, I think, Kristen, you had a comment about keep your question or your ask targeted. So if I'm going through LinkedIn and there is a quick question versus someone that is asking me to explain IT careers, all of my open positions, guess who I'm going to reply to first? The quick, easy one. And sometimes I'll be honest, I may not get back to that lengthier one. So I think your feedback on depending on the relationship, what the ask is, and, just make sure that, your question or, what you're asking them is very targeted so they can quickly reply.
Kenny, I hope that helps you a little bit. If you feel like you're being annoying, then you may be annoying. But you also want to push. You don't want to just sit behind and not ever reach back out to the person. So
I can give a little of my previous experiences. So like just recently, what was it, last week, I had an interview and the lady I interviewed with said, we'll be interviewing other candidates, yada, 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 and we'll be touching base with you sometime mid next week. So my rule of thumb is that if I don't hear back from her, let's say by Thursday afternoon, that's when I'll go ahead and send the follow-up email saying, hey, great, it was great interviewing with you. I remember you had said you'd be following up sometime this week, hadn't heard anything or whatever. Just wanted to follow up and see where you're at in the process.
absolutely.
That's my general rule of thumb is typically, at the end of the interview, they give you some kind of timeline of when they plan on touching base. If not, ask when they plan on, making a decision, touching base or whatever, and then give them that time. And then if they don't, then send them the friendly reminder. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I agree. Especially if they tell you, when you're going to hear back from them. I don't think there's any problem helping, respectfully holding people accountable within a reasonable amount of time. But Kenny, from just, creating a relationship and reaching out to people, just like you would with any other, I think it kind of depends on, how excited you are to talk to them again, how excited you felt they were to talk to you again. There's no like 3-day rule like people come up with in dating where you have to wait so long. So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit.
Christian,
Yeah,
a question similar to Kenny's.
Okay.
It was applying for jobs online. What is the best way to follow up with the employers?
Good question. Sometimes this is tricky because you may only have some information, but you may not have everything. So the first thing to do is figure out what you know. And I would go as direct as you can based on what you know. If you're looking at a job and you apply and you get a recruiter's name and email, I would reach out to that recruiter via email. If you don't get a recruiter name and email, if you just get an automated message from a system, you can try replying to that. Sometimes those work, sometimes those don't. Definitely check the from addresses though on emails that you get when you apply to jobs. Maybe you can go to the company website and look for people's contact information. If you see any names, you can find them on LinkedIn. But and this is me, I work my personal inbox more than I do my LinkedIn messages. I prioritize my work inbox because that's where my to-dos come from, right? That's where my active operational work is going to be. So if you have a work email address for someone, I would prioritize that. If not, and you have a name, I would find them on LinkedIn and connect with them there, send them a message there. Pro tip for LinkedIn, not a LinkedIn Pro account, just a pro tip for LinkedIn. When you connect with somebody, if you're connecting with a new person and you have the opportunity, I think it always gives you an opportunity to send a message, do it. If nothing else, it will help remind that person why you're connecting or where you met them. Or maybe you can say, hey, Ashley, I applied to an open position at ACDS, would love to connect to discuss the potential opportunity. Then Ashley won't be like, here's this stranger trying to connect with me, and she'll most likely accept. So that's my recommendation. I hope that helps answer, Joy. Ashley, anything else that you would like to share?
And I was typing it, but yeah, I think, any type of reminder for a recruiter, so helpful. So reattaching a resume, mentioning the job number, when you interview for a living, sometimes, you can't remember everyone. And again, it comes down working your emails in your inbox. If I don't have to stop what I'm doing, log into my ATS, see who you are, who you applied for, you know, I can sometimes give you a quicker update on the status of your application or kind of remember you better.
Absolutely. Y'all interviews start to blend together. So if your recruiter remembers you, hey, that's a plus too. Take that as a win because that means you're really memorable. All right. I may have, nope, that was my last slide. So good timing. Any other questions that anybody's come up with? Oh, cool. Kenny's throwing out some cool info. If y'all didn't see in the chat, he said this website lists known email addresses for businesses. Cool. So there's a good resource. I would definitely try that if you don't have one for somebody.
Well,
You know, I think it is more valuable of your time to focus on the who you know network versus, you know, trying to figure out who's in HR at this one department. A lot of companies have an HR policy that, you know, unfortunately, we cannot disclose the status of your update or the status of your application because they don't know if you actually are Kenny or are you an imposter. In addition to, if all 1,000 candidates, you know, called at one, I mean, that could be, you know, a full-time team's position to have to, you know, field all of those.
and may I add something? When we were talking about networking, something very important, especially in this virtual world, is to ensure that you have good lighting when you're doing a network event, especially when employers are there or online at the event. And one thing we learned in communication is to ensure that they can see your face really well. Sometimes we're so far back from the camera, or we only have half a head showing in the camera instead of a whole face. Those things are very, very important as well. They may seem like just little things that may not mean much to you, but they mean a lot to someone who is looking for people to take what they're doing seriously. And then I had one more advice. When at a networking event, whether in person or out of person, I think one of the main things that I used to have a problem with was feeling comfortable, you know, because you're in a room full of strangers and it feels odd, just really awkward sometimes. And just kind of remembering that everyone is there trying to find something or someone just like you. So you're in a room full of people who are seeking the same thing that you're seeking. And so just learning how to control that anxiety so that you can show your best self and just be as comfortable as possible. Always help.
Absolutely. Anything you can do to be more you. Because that's
yourself.
what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
And find someone like you a little bit. It helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look for those things that are similar that you can connect on. Even if it's, I mean, it's hard to do, you know, talk about people's clothing or whatever, because you used to could do that. Oh, I love those shoes or whatever. It's harder to do that virtually, but you can joke about people's backgrounds, or maybe, you know, you don't want to joke too much and throw any shade, but if people have a virtual background up or something to get conversation going, absolutely. All right, guys, well, we're almost out of time. I see, oh, that's Ashley in the chat. So if you guys have any other questions, or if there's anything we didn't answer, here's all of our contact information. We're hosting about a webinar a month for our ReSkill candidates, but ACDS has many, many other events. We have those at this calendar link on this page. So check back frequently. That gets updated all of the time with other day in the life events, other webinars, all kinds of stuff. So we will send this out for all of you. There's some other references and resources on here. And we thank you so much. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your advice. If for those who chipped in, thank you for your time. And we hope everybody has a great evening. We're getting there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We're a great group, great interaction. Everyone was on camera, Kristen?
We had a lot of cameras. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, everyone.
Yeah.